Frozen, we're back to the Wolves Only podcast powered by JWX. Jake Sirokman. What the fuck, man? We have been on Zoom together all day today. I'm starting to get attracted to you. I'm not gonna lie.
Starting to.
He's a good looking man.
You can tell the audience.
He's a good looking man.
Feels like another Zoom, man.
It's wild how much time we spend together. And I don't get sick of you.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
She's meant to be.
Although it is virtually, it's not in person, but I think we get along pretty well in person too.
Yeah. But you want to know who I never have gotten to spend any time with in person, and it's driving me crazy? Nate.
Coming back.
Where the fuck you been, dog?
There we go.
Where you been, dog?
Where have I been?
Yeah.
I've been right here, man. You got my number. You know how to reach out.
I talk to you a lot, and it's probably so.
You do.
You know, it's I've developed a really good friendship with you. We've talked about things I don't usually talk about with people. And here's something that we have in common. Okay. Right. And I'm going to describe you, and then I'm going to tell you why I believe that it reflects in me. You are hard as fuck to the eye. Right. I see you and I'd be like, damn, this guy's a bad motherfucker. Right. Like, you know, we're tatted up, bald, scary, but you're kind of a dork, and I'm kind of a dork.
Guilty. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. And it's like but here's the thing that you don't give yourself credit of is like, you'll be like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yes, you do. You definitely know. You have a skill set that I call playing dumb.
You know what? Hey, you're right about that. I do play dumb. I'll admit that. I do.
You know what? It is the smartest thing that you can do is play dumb. The smartest thing that you can do. One, you're going to get a lot of shit done for you. But two, it gives somebody this feeling of having an advantage in a conversation that they're like, man, I'm teaching this guy something. And then you're able to really engage with them based on just that simple, like you're interested in what they have to say.
But could that be a catch-22 though? Because I remember when you spoke about when you first signed up with your now coach Brandon Beckridge, and you said you liked the fact that he was confident in himself. He had this certainty about him, and you like that. Whereas, you know, like I guess he didn't play dumb, you know what I mean? So I feel like would that be a deterrent to people that would otherwise want to sign up with me? Then I kind of have this shell of playing dumb, and I'm like, I don't know about this dude right here, you know what I mean?
No, you need to know when to practice and exercise that skill set.
Yeah,
right?
That's what made me kind of revert and think back on that, because I realize I've been like that in the gym over the years since I've kind of been out of like coaching and personal training, and you know, people in the gym would ask me for advice or whatever. And I'd be like, I don't know, just do that machine over there. I don't know, you know what I mean? Just kind of play dumb. But then when you mentioned you like the assertiveness and the certainty that some of these coaches have, then I'm kind of taken back. It's like maybe I need to, you know, stop playing dumb. But I mean, I'm so accustomed to it. And I feel like that's my personality and who I am. I got to be really intentional about not doing that. You know what I mean? There's
a time and place for everything, and there is. You need to know when to exercise a skill set when it comes to being like in a social situation. There comes a time where we need to know when to utilize that playing dumb, whatever. For instance, I once had to put a swing set together for my son years back, and I had some buddies there, and I played so dumb to the point where they were like, Justin, just sit back. We got this. And I was like, this is living. I'm kidding. But take four. Take four. We're leaving this. I just want to leave this the way it is.
This is raw. This is raw. This ain't no edited bullshit. Let's go. Was this a wooden swing set or a metal swing set?
Wooden
swing set.
With some metal involved.
Okay.
And I realized that me being dumb landed me not having to put it together at all. My buddies were like, Justin, just stay a fuck away. We know how to use tools. We know how to do this. And I sat back. This was back when I drank, and I drank.
Was there alcohol involved in this situation?
Yeah. Well, there was alcohol involved with this. This was 10 years ago. There was alcohol involved with everything.
Brilliant.
So I found out that sometimes being dumb will get you out of building a swing set.
All you gotta do is just hold the flashlight. That's my job.
You hold the flashlight. You're the flashlight guy.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it is a blessing that you kind of have that, but then it's time to know when to be like, okay, I got to turn it on. You know, so like you're not going to play dumb when you're setting up to do a gig, right?
Right.
You know, you're not going to play dumb when it's time to put out a fire.
Again, I just hold the flashlight, man.
Oh, all right. Yeah. You're like, I'm not going in there. I got the flashlight.
Yeah, that looks dangerous, man. What are y'all doing?
How long have you been a firefighter for?
Oh man, 16 years now. 16, 17 years, something like that. Yeah. Long enough.
Wow.
Still doing it because I like it, man. It's I keep thinking to myself, man, when I'm gonna walk away, and my wife and I talked about it. I'm like, well, I mean, as long as it doesn't feel like work, as long as I don't, think to myself, oh, I got to go work again today. I just keep going, whatever, So
you live in a pretty calm area too, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of rural. You know what I mean? We got our busier areas like Panama City Beach, which is it's very seasonal. So like we got spring breaks gets pretty rowdy, summer gets rowdy. We got bike weeks. We got tons of different tournaments that go on out there at the rec centers. And but I'm over here maybe about 20 minutes east of that. So I'm in a quaint kind of neighborhood. So it's nice, man. So I mean, I can get away. I can escape from the calamity anytime I want.
Let me ask you a question about Panama City Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever cleaned anybody up that's jumped from a balcony?
Yeah, actually I have. I don't know if they jump or if they fell, but yeah, I had to clean them up.
So that could have been me.
Oh yeah.
I get chills thinking about this story. It makes me sick to my stomach. Mm-hmm. But I was there freshman year in college in spring break, and I was shit-faced. And I jumped from one of the condo places right there, from like the 4th story balcony into the pool, and I made it. And it was a leap, and I made it. I was convinced I could do it from the 7th story.
Ooh, that's a big jump.
It is. Right?
How do you go 4 to 7 instead of like just 5?
I don't know, Jake. I was drunk, man. I was fucked up, dog.
As I was saying that, I was like, I've done
work. So listen. I'm like, all my friends are like, no, fucking don't do it. You're going to kill yourself. I'm like, dude, I got this. You saw me. I fucking crushed the last one. And I get on the edge and I am ready to go. And you know that feeling when you're about to jump off something and like, you're not too sure, but you're pretty sure. You know that feeling? Right then, fucking security busted into the door and like grabbed me and nearly kicked us out of the resort. But I was the one paying for everything. So they made it happen. Yeah. But that made me think. And then years later, I heard people that were dying, falling from there.
Yeah. There was one year it was particularly bad. We had like 8 or 9 deaths, like within the whole month of March. What year was it that you went? You said it was your freshman year. What year was that?
2006.
Okay, yeah. So things were still pretty wild back then.
That's pretty crazy. You said that year because in Hollywood off Sunset, I think we just got done playing the Whiskey or the Roxy or one of those. We went to a hotel where everyone used to stay after they had played the Whiskey. I forget the name of the band or who it was. It might have been like Jim Morrison. There was a story told about a so-called person on the same floor of the same hotel that was going to jump and cause this big shit. And I'm up there on the ledge, like reenacting the thing. And I'm just hammered. You can't even see down. It's dark. And I'm just like, ugh. Well, the next day, I think we didn't even sleep. Same story. I went out, looked up, and I looked at where I was actually standing. And I was like, what a fucking idiot. Like, as that, like, recalled, like, how I'm just dangling off the side. Like, I'm just basically, like, invincible. And I'm sitting there going, I would have, like, jumped to my death last night. Like, if it wasn't for the homies, like, what are you doing? But I'm like, fucking 23 or whatever, how old I was, like, at the time. But, yeah, same situation. Like, this was, like, known for, like, Hollywood people to get up there, jump off, commit suicide, do the thing. And I thought here I am, just an idiot.
But God had a greater plan, and here we are, chopping it up on the podcast.
You know what I mean?
We cheated.
Nobody ever would have known of Shake and Bake with Jake.
Shake and Bake with Jake's got to come back now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Jake would have been leaving an earthquake.
That Back then,
Earthquakes
yeah.
with Jake. Yeah, you would have been smoked. Yeah, we cheated death. We've cheated death a lot in our lives, and the more I think back to like the stupid shit I've done, and it's like I have become very cautious in my adult life. I walk upstairs very carefully. I walk downstairs even more carefully.
You
I
drive
drive.
carefully.
I drive very carefully for other reasons. I am like everything I do, I'm like so cautious,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
I
I'm
used
the
to be
same
reckless.
way. Ever since I had that bad injury where I ruptured my quad 2 years ago from walking, slipping down a ramp, now I'm very conscientious and methodical about how I go down steps, particularly if it's wet and things like that, because I don't want to go through that again. Just
Well, and that's what's crazy that I was such a dumbass because I broke my C4 and C6 in 2003. I was lucky to even walk away. They said I was a hairline away from being paralyzed from the neck down if I were to survive. And I think that kind of got embedded in my head as I went on tour and did all these super things. Like I was invincible. I was like the miracle kid, and like nothing could fucking stop me. So most people, they look at that and say, wow, I escaped death. I should probably live a calm, sober, nice life. Me, I took it to the far extreme and was like, I ain't fucking dying. My dad's looking out for me. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's two ways to look at that, Nate. Nowadays, I don't take shit for granted.
yeah, because see, like, stuff, man, it's just, I'm sure all of you can relate too. Like some of the stuff that we did 10, 15 years ago, we think if I did that now, that I'd be done.
Hell yeah.
I think back to my little brother Trenton, he's actually, as he's celebrating today his first year of sobriety. I think back to when he graduated college and he got a big time job at Chicago Recording Company, which is like a very famous recording studio. And he just moved down to Chicago with his girlfriend, not his wife, but his girlfriend at the time. And they got a place, right downtown Wrigleyville. And anyways, he just moves downtown Wrigleyville. Him and his girlfriend get trashed, and she is passed out. He's like walking her up the stairs. First day in Chicago, walks up, steps funny, cracks his ankle, like completely cracks it. No, he has no car in Chicago. He has nothing. He has to walk everywhere and take the public transportation. And now he's like starting his job the next in the next week or whatever. Broken ankle, can't get anywhere. And I'm like, ever since I remember that story, because it was just he stepped funny. And I'm like, I'm watching. I'm being the most cautious person in the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's like, yeah, to Nate's point, shit, last time I think I had a heart injury, I coughed and blew my sciatic out. Like, I mean, this is right when me and Angela started dating. And I remember hitting the ground so hard, like I was almost in tears because it hurt so bad. I was yelling at her to get out of the room. I'm like, get the fuck out of the room. Like, I didn't want her to see me like that, but it just goes to show, like, it doesn't matter how in shape you are, how much exercise, it could just be the littlest, dumbest things. Yeah. Literally, it was either a sneeze or a cough. And I remember it just was like pink, like it just hit me, and I just rolled off the bed and just laid flatline for like 10 minutes. Yeah. I was like, don't look at me, don't look at me.
Yeah. Look away.
I'm like, look away, don't look at me. I'm like, I couldn't even laugh because it
Well, I think that all of us would agree, man. I mean, we brutalize our bodies in the gym, deadlifting ungodly amount of weights and squatting a bunch of weights and just doing things that someone would consider reckless. I don't hurt myself in the gym. It's always doing something stupid outside the gym. You know what I mean? I was walking.
We're getting old. Yeah. We are getting fucking old.
And, I feel like half of the stuff I do in the gym now is just all preventative. You know what I mean? Sure. Like I do all this backwards walking, Ben Patrick stuff. I'm in there like a dork, doing all this old man stuff. People looking at me funny. I'm like, man, I don't want to hurt myself walking. You know what I mean? That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, definitely. But it is interesting because we do this work, and the work is preventative for everybody. At the end of the day, it's preventative against illnesses. It's preventative against aging, right? And I think a lot of people that, may hear this that aren't already involved in a gym and fitness situation or with a coach or whatever, they're taking this time for granted. They're taking this life for granted, and they're not realizing that these things are going to start to show their ugly fucking face as they get older and older. And they could have handled it earlier on in their life and not ever dealt with these situations that they're gonna be facing. And it's inevitable that they're going to be facing it.
Mm-hmm. Sure. It's a matter of if, not when. I mean, when, not if. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of fitness, Nate, so tell us, man? I'm sure Justin will get to this, but what got you involved with? Obviously, you've probably been in decent shape your whole life, but what made you go from firefighting into the fitness game?
I mean, I was actually in the fitness game before I even got into firefighting.
As I said that, I figured that too.
Yeah, so actually, man, as I told Justin before on the first podcast we was on, it all like so fitness, and it wasn't so much a fitness; it was more just a vain aesthetic thing of having muscles. And it kind of started, when I was a kid, because I grew up in the '80s. The '80s was the era of like muscular dudes and action movies. You had Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's what I grew up watching. You know what I mean? And so I just, and my dad, he was a bigger dude, and he lifted weights. He was into bodybuilding. And so, having that as my father figure and then seeing all these action movies, I just, in my mind, this is how men are supposed to look. They're supposed to be muscular and jacked. You know what I mean? And even the cartoons were jacked, Thundercats and Masters of the Universe with He-Man and Skeletor. I was just used to seeing muscular dudes. So I just thought that's what I'm going to look like. And then it wasn't until I was 14 years old that I was able to start going to the gym with my father, because you had to be 14 to go there. And then he kind of showed me the ropes, we'll go do some chest today, some shoulders tomorrow, some legs or whatever. And then it just kind of progressed and just became an obsession. I did my first bodybuilding show at 17. And at the time I had to figure it out. I was going to be pro bodybuilder. This was it. This is the only life I knew. I was obsessed with it. You know what I mean? I had no aspirations of doing anything other than just bodybuilding. If I was going to get a job, it was to support my bodybuilding until I turned pro, and that was going to be my job. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until but then as you age, your priorities change. You know what I mean? I met my wife. We were actually in middle school, so she kind of been through my whole journey from being a skinny punk rocker to skater kid to getting into bodybuilding, and she went to all my shows even before we were dating as just friends and everything, and then we started officially like dating when we were like 19 years old, and then we got engaged, and then we got married, and then started having kids. And so at the time when we had kids, she was a full-time teacher. I was a personal trainer, because what does every other aspiring pro bodybuilder do? Is a trainer. I mean, what else you gonna do? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was training people, but then like we were married for like 2 months, got pregnant unexpectedly. We're like, shoot, man, we ain't ready for this. What we're gonna do? So we looked into childcare. Childcare is like outrageously expensive. I'm like, man, I can't afford this. This is like a full-time job in and of itself to cover the cost of that. And then so there were several firefighters in my gym that I just liked, man. Every single firefighter I knew was cool. Like I just vibe with them. And plus, just the notion of the schedule that they worked, and the idea of the job itself, it was always intriguing to me. Like I was always asking about it and prying the brain. And then so like, if I just get on this, if I just become a firefighter, then I'm only working every third day. We don't need childcare like once or twice a week instead of 5 times a week. So I put myself through fire standards in 6 months. I got hired on, and then the rest is history. You know what I mean? And then so and then during that time, I got more and more solidified in that career. We had another kid, and then another kid, and by the time I was 30, I'm just like didn't really care about bodybuilding anymore. You know what I mean? Because I'm just making a living and just being happy being this family man, but still continuing to live the life of an otherwise competitive bodybuilder as far as the the meals and the training and everything, just because it's part of my lifestyle. I just love it. You know what I mean? And then now kind of getting connected with the online fitness community through you guys. It's kind of just sparked a whole different kind of platform for me to take my level of interest in the fitness community and kind of share it worldwide virtually. You know what I mean? And so I'm thankful that I found you guys to kind of give me an outlet to be able to know how to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No, we love working with you. I got a question for you. You ever done like laid back, like not serious approach. Is that how you coach?
Now, I usually take my coaching pretty seriously. Well, I think it really depends. So if it's people who know me personally and they know that I kind of play, you know what I mean, I'll joke around with them. But the people who reach out to me that don't really know me personally, you know, I try to, you know, I keep it professional. I act like I know what I'm talking about, and I do know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But yeah, I do, you know, sell myself. I know what I'm doing when it comes to my coaching and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was thinking I'd be like, you know, if somebody wanted to be with a coach that's like knows exactly what he's doing, knows what he's talking about, but like doesn't want to be like beat to death and like broken down and just wants to like be able to have a friend that like shows them what to do, like, you know, you definitely have that, and it
Yeah,
would be enjoying it, like, you know, somebody that is more doing this to like become the best version of themselves, to have somebody that could have an approach
yeah,
to like make you laugh and make you feel good is like really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and so I mean, and you know, in the fitness space, there's some people just really just pound the drum of this whole notion of discipline and everything, and I'm like, and there is an element of discipline of all there is, but it doesn't mean that you got to be a stone cold killer all the time. You know what I mean? I mean, if you can't have fun with it, enjoy it, you're not going to adhere to it. So ultimately, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Right.
You can be the most disciplined person, have the most optimal training regimen. You can have the most optimal nutrition protocol, the most optimal supplement protocol, and implement it and get amazing results. But if you're miserable doing it, then you're not going to adhere to it. So really, at the end of the day, what's the point? You know what I mean? You got to have fun with it, because if you're not going to have fun with it, it's not going to be a lifestyle, and you're just going to fall off the bandwagon and revert back to your old age. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yep.
And when I think about content too, like I try to think about the type of content I like to consume. You know what I mean? I want it to be informative so I can learn something, but I also want it to be entertaining. You know what I mean? So I try to put some information out there, something that people can learn from, and then I also try to provide some form of entertainment. Like some of the podcasts I listen to, like some of the guys are very informative, they're smart, they're knowledgeable, and I learn a lot, which is great. But I'm thinking like these dudes, I mean, I just like listening to them. Just the dynamics of some of these people together. I'm like, y'all can talk about whatever you want. I'm going to listen because it's fun. You know what I mean? So I just try to have a page that people from all walks of life can look at for various reasons, whether you want to be entertained, whether you want to laugh, or whether you want to make fun of me, or whether you want information about, you know, nutrition or training or whatever. You know what I mean?
What are some of the podcasts you listen to?
So the number one health and fitness podcast is called Mind Pump, and
Dude, I'm a fan of
yeah,
them.
yeah, those three guys on there. They're actually from California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're,
love them. Love them.
I think they're up in San Jose.
Yeah, so I listen to them, and then there's but see, like what I like about them is that one, they're bros, you know, because they lift. Some of them bodybuild before, but you know, but they're also like evidence based. You know what I mean? They understand, they implement the modalities of health that they talk
Sal's
about.
brilliant. Yeah, Sal's brilliant.
Yeah.
And what I like about them is all three of them have different perspectives on fitness, so they kind of collaborate, but they also have different opinions when it comes to. And what I love about them is they each try it before they say it. So they go through their own experiments before they brand any kind of like companies or what's the word I'm looking for? Endorsements. Yeah, they sit there with the product for months before they even mention it to make sure it works, and they'll be honest with it and say this did or didn't. So yeah, I like that each of them. Like one dude's kind of not as smart as Sal, and then the other dude's more of like the meathead. One dude's a football player, the other guy's a physique competitor. Sal's just always Italian shredded dude. So yeah, before I got into JWX, man, I watched them probably religiously. I even went on one of their FAQs, and I was big into their programs, man. They're knowledge, lots of knowledge.
So they're brilliant dudes, you know what I mean? So I take their word as far as when it comes to everything training and nutrition, but they go off on some of the most random topics and like just like, you know, whatever current events are happening, and it's interesting stuff, you know what I mean? And the same reason why I like them is kind of the same reason why I like the JW Fit team, is because y'all are just genuine guys. Like you guys have my trust, just like those guys have my trust. They can you know, advocate for a supplement or something to do with training and dieting, and I'm going to trust it. You know what I mean? Because I haven't
watched any of their recent stuff, but I remember they, like, even when I had the treadmill in my living room, I had to do all my fasted cardio. It was like, I think like the first 30 minutes used to be just about culture and topics first before they even dove in to like the fitness or anatomy and all that shit. They would just sit there and just shoot the shit about, like, you know, how we do with music and whatnot.
Fitness or what, Jake?
Yes. The human body, Justin. Anatomy. You dick.
You don't know this story about Jake.
It's for another.
Tell me the story. Air it out.
Here we go.
Jake, are you going to? Well, I want to make sure Jake's not going to get.
I'm not going to get my feelings hurt.
So Jake had this great idea for a band name, and he wanted to name his band Anatomy. And the only thing that came to my mind
penis, like
was
always.
dicks. Do you not think that when you hear the word anatomy? Or am I just
When I think
gay?
anatomy, I think of anatomy chart like who's that anatomy dude like back in the 80s who wore
Yeah,
that like
back the old
like
sculpture.
muscles and stuff. Yeah, that's what I think when I think of anatomy. But
That's
see, like
kind of
I went to
that's what
school
we're
for
doing.
one of the things I majored in was exercise science, and then so I was into some of the class I had was anatomy and physiology. So when I think of anatomy, I think of it in professional terms. You know what I mean? Because I'm a
Yeah, I just
scholar.
think of
Thank you,
dicks.
Nate. Yeah,
I must. I don't know if I'm gay or what. Maybe I am. I got to get a test.
he's pretty homophobic. He is pretty homophobic.
I'm not homophobic.
Well, yeah, maybe not. Okay, I take it back. Not homophobic. But yeah, you speak about the anatomy of other men a lot.
Because it's hilarious. I've been doing it since I was a kid. It's funny.
Well, needless to say, Nate, after that conversation and podcast, we've got a new band name. So,
Wait, so you're in a current you got a new band, right?
we've been tossing the idea around. Obviously, like my everything I give is into JWX.
You know what I think of when I hear tossing? Just kidding. Go ahead.
So yeah, it's starting up a new project at 42, man, with 2 kids, and we've all got families, but we've got the music written, we've got the resources. I've been through it, man, so it only makes sense. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm healthy, I'm sober, my head's on straight. I'm a leader, mentor, so it's like, why wouldn't I bring that to the masses and just scream? You know, I mean, I spent 22 years of my life on stage as a frontman. You know, 49 states, 18 countries, 3 music videos. That was my life, man. So it would be nice to get back up there with a clear head, in the position I'm in, and then also the resources Justin and I have. I mean, him being best friends with Brandon from Bleeding Through and Tim from As Lay Dying. It makes
so
sense.
with this new band, you had the same ambitions to make it as big as you did back when you were at Mantis, as far as like traveling around.
It's different, man. It's so much different in the knowledge I know as far as marketing and branding and basically using the systems of JWX to launch our business. It almost, I don't want to say it's dummy proof because we haven't done it, but the tour, the goal isn't to hop in a van and go tour and play fucking 240 shows a year. It'd be to do fly-ins, play big festivals, and get back home to my family.
Yeah.
But utilizing the systems Justin and the team has set up to be able to be internet sensations. You know, we brand the same, we do the content. You follow the same systems Justin's blueprinted for us in our online fitness company, or any business for that matter. Fucking anything's possible if you just do the work. You know, at the end of the day, we've got the blueprint to anybody's trade or, you know, career to do this. They just have to put the work in and B, fucking commit. So
and I think that's kind of parallels into fitness coaching into business coaching, because like, you know, as a fitness coach, like I don't do the business coaching like the two of you do, but I do the fitness coaching. And I think a lot of people, they have this notion that as soon as I hire a fitness coach, things are just going to work out. You know what I mean? He's got this some sort of magic formula, this blueprint, and I'm going to pay him, and boom, I'm going to get a good physique. When they don't understand the reality that no, you still have to put in the work. I will give
You have to put in the work.
You have to put in the work. Do it. You know, and that's the same thing parallels into business coaching. You know what I mean? Like you jump into this online business coaching and you think there's something magical that's going to happen because you hired a business coach, and all of a sudden you're going to blow up. Now there's still work that you got to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Honestly, I think, well, sorry, I was just going to say the tools that we give, like, of course that's what you need to know, but you can learn that stuff on YouTube. You can learn that stuff anywhere, right? We're here to save you time, and we're here to keep you from making the same mistakes that we made, right? You got to look at it like this. The most successful people in the world value time more than money. That's why the most successful people in the world will invest their money to save them time, right? It doesn't make sense to try to figure things out yourself, and it certainly doesn't make sense to take no direction when there's people that are already doing what you want to do. Nothing is new. There's nothing new. So it's a matter of like, how can you do it the best way possible? And the only way to do it the best way possible is to figure out the guys that are doing it the best and then work harder and do it better. That's really all you get. This is fucking leapfrog. It is going to always be leapfrog until something brand new comes out and it's like alakazam. Now we have a new thing that probably won't happen.
Well, I like that you said, you know, how we've learned from our mistakes and getting as large as we did in my old band Mantis. I mean, we did 21, 23 years old. Fucking, we were on top of the world at one point. And but we didn't treat it as a business. We were getting fucked up, as you should, as a 21-year-old. We were getting fucked up every night. We weren't committing to our interviews. We weren't selling the merchandise. We weren't playing the online game, although back then it was like, what, MySpace or something. So I now thinking going into this as a leader, and what I do know and the things that Justin has taught me is treat it as a business, do the steps, do the online, and obviously I brand and market. So I mean, half this business is online, social media, and just being present. And not only that, just being your authentic self. So telling your story, just like we tell our coaches, tell your story, get on camera, be authentic. It's the same shit as a lead vocalist, because people are going to resonate with you. Some of my favorite artists is because of their lyrics, the way they present themselves off stage, and because they're just generally good fucking people. And I wouldn't know that unless they did it through their interviews and they're just being themselves. So I think there's a lot to learn and going into this with a different mindset.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the things I love about JW Fit is that you advocate for authenticity. You know, you're not trying to copycat somebody else. You know what I mean? You could try, and it's good, and you can put your own spin on it. But at the end of the day, you know, you can't fake it. You know what I mean? You got to stuff, and the whole time and money analogy makes perfect sense, because you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And you're right, really nothing new. But I mean, things are always evolving. Like even since I signed up with you guys back in July, things have evolved. You know what I mean? The algorithm changes. You know, what's trending on social media changes. You know, as far as like the acquisition of clients kind of changes on how to optimize that. And what's great about you guys is that y'all stay on the cutting edge of all of it. You know what I mean? If something changes, you guys know about it. You convey that to the coaches so that we can implement it most optimally. Like there's 100 different ways. What is the analogy? 1,000 ways to skin a cat. But there's one way that's going to be better than the other. I want to skin the cat most optimally, and that's one thing that you guys provide, is because you stay on the cutting edge of everything. You're leaps and bounds ahead of all these other coaches, man. Since it's funny, man. Since I became a coach, I get flooded messages, maybe not every day, but several a week from these other business coaches that'll get up in my inbox, be like, "Hey, man, I've seen your page, love what you stand for. I believe that I can really help scale you, and I think I can get you to 10K a month." I'm like, man, you don't even know. Like, if you only knew, like, I'm with JWX, man. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing you can tell me that I don't already know from them. There's no resources that you can give me that I don't already get from JW. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, to piggyback off that idea of the authenticity too, is like, you see a lot of these other programs, and it's like copycat versions of each other, and I see it all the time. Right. But here's the deal. The best leaders understand that everybody learns different and everybody has to be approached different. So, working in the auto industry my entire life and with all salesmen, right? And at the end of the day, I'm training you guys how to be entrepreneurs, but everybody in this industry is also a salesperson. Okay. Well, in the auto industry, we're constantly dealing with several types of personalities, age range, men, women, home life situations, all of it. Where like you got to handle each person a little bit different. And my mentor growing up in that industry had to really put that in my head. That was like, hey man, Tom, he's been in the business for 30 years, he's in his 60s. So the way you approach him, you got to handle him like this. And, Tanner is 18 years old. It's his first sales job he's ever had. You need to push him in this direction, help him out with these, and teach him how to do these types of resources, and so on and so forth. And, hey, Ken, he's been going through a really rough divorce. He's struggling with gambling addiction, so there's certain ways that you can correct him and whatever, but like, understand you need to treat him a certain type of way. And it was like, when I got into this, it was like, this became easy to me because I have been taught this my entire adult life, is like, everybody is a titch different or a lot different. And you need to respect their learnings and learn and adapt to how to teach them. Right.
Sure. Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah. The dynamics of everybody's life is different. They're going to learn differently. They're going to buy into something differently. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's
to be, is because it's half the people aren't going to do the fucking work, and two, there's so many fucking people out there that there's enough people in this world that need our help.
Mhm.
So even Justin said it best, like when I came in a year ago, like my first mentality was, isn't this saturated? And he gave me that look like, what the fuck did you just say to me? And I'd start to learn. I'm like, it's just like the personal training industry. When I had a gym, I had a gym, my buddy's gym was 5 miles away, but you're going to attract your tribe, your people, and there's enough to go around. And if they didn't fit in my culture, I sent them to my boy 5 minutes away because we were friends. It wasn't where I would be like, oh, don't go to that place, man. Their shit's stinky and blah, blah. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, you may not be a good fit here, but I do have a buddy up the street that I think you'd fit well. And that's how we got along. And he sent people to my gym. So it's great having people like Jay and Trevor who literally will just give you their recipe. This is what I did step for step. And they're not hiding anything. There's no black and white. Transparency is all there. So that's what's different about this community, man, is everyone works together.
Yeah. And there is more online fitness coaches than ever before, but there's also more people that need an online fitness coach than ever before. So the playing field is still as even as it was, years ago. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and there's one thing that you have to always accept, and JT says it best, is that because there's no barrier to entry in online fitness coaching, there's a shitload of amateurs, and people don't hate salespeople, and people don't hate people approaching you, in any sort of way, whether it is selling, whether it's marketing, advertising, but people hate amateurs. That's what they hate. People want to be sold.
Mhm.
They do. People want to meet somebody that can get them the desired outcome that they're looking for. They just have been so used to having complete shit for brains trying to sell them stuff that they're burnt out. They're done.
Heck yeah. So Nate, you mentioned a while ago, you were a punk rock kid?
Yeah, so I was into the punk rock scene. I was actually so I'm a musician as well. You guys know this. First my father was a pastor, and so I naturally just started playing, in
punk rock. That goes hand in hand.
Well,
this is true. Yeah.
The Christian punk rock scene was sick.
So I started playing. That's like 95, 96, and so I started playing contemporary worship music in the church, but I was into punk rock, you know what I mean? And so I also had a punk rock band outside of church that I would go into, but it was a Christian punk rock band. So I'd go into other youth groups and I'd sit there and I'd play punk rock music. I don't know if you guys heard of like MXPX.
I was just MXPX was the first one I was going to say. I didn't know if you're more MXPX or more
well-known mainstream Christian punk rock bands. Like if you were into punk rock, you probably knew who MXPX was. You're our age anyways.
I was just going to ask who some of your influences.
Still coming up with albums, man. Still coming up with albums.
They got big during COVID because they were one of the originals that started doing the
No. You got this wrong. It wasn't that it was MXPX, Jake. It was Goldfinger. Can you hear me? It was Goldfinger.
No, I know Goldfinger did it, but it might have. Yeah.
Yeah, but because
I know Goldfinger did it, MXPX might have been right after that.
Well, no, but what's his face from MXPX plays in Goldfinger.
That's maybe what I saw then that was during COVID.
Yeah,
right?
Bro, if I got any Christian punk band tattoo on me, it would be an MXPX head. Like that was like all my guitars had MXPX stickers on them. Like Reliant K, MXPX, Five Iron Frenzy, all of them. Like I was like
Tooth and Nail Records. Tooth and Nail Records, all those guys. I went to Seattle, Washington on a little family vacation. We had this cross country road trip, and I was like, man, we got to stop by Tooth and Nail. So I went there. I got a bunch of free merch and stickers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Funny dude, because I listened to the bands like Living Sacrifice back in the day, and here we are 25 years later. I'm hearing you guys talk about that, and I'm like, I never would have thought I would ever be talking to anybody that's my age. Bring up the band name Living Sacrifice.
First heavy show I've ever been to was a Living Sacrifice show.
Multiple times. Overcome, Zayo, Training for Utopia, like Living Sacrifice, you name it, man. I saw him.
There's this one dude. He's kind of a metal Christian band aficionado. He's got this YouTube channel, and I don't think he's Christian himself, but it seems like back during that era, it seemed like all the bands that were like hardcore and they were like like death metal, how you ever want to label it, metalcore. They were all like by and large Christian. or affiliated some sort of like, spiritually or biblically or something, because most of them are like straight edge, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, sometimes that kind of coincides with being a believer or whatever, but he kind of talked about the rise and fall of it. And it made a whole lot of sense, you know what I mean? I never really thought about it, how it seemed like every single hardcore metal band that was popular had some sort of Christian innuendo about them, but now not so much anymore. And he kind of talked about how it happened and the segue into where we are now. I was like, man, that kind of makes some sense. I got to see if I can find that YouTube clip again. I'll send it to you. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Some of them have stayed on point though. Devil Wears Prada, Earth Groans, they've all stayed pretty tight. Not Wage War, but is it Wage War? Or?
August Burns Red. Jake
definitely.
is still pretty heavy with all that. There's still a lot. Under Oath is, I mean,
half of my right sleeve is a Zao tattoo. Like,
Living
that
Sacrifice though, man, they were probably, Living Sacrifice is probably up in my top 10 still. Like, you could throw that album on and it's just like, it was so before its time.
Oh yeah,
but it just made sense back then too. It's insane.
My first heavy show, the bands weren't allowed back into the church. It was Living Sacrifice, Beanbag, Ludacris before they were Norma Jean. I said my first heavy show that I ever went to was Living Sacrifice, Ludacris before they were Norma Jean, and Beanbag and Blindside.
Rough. Was Blindside Christian?
Yeah.
Were
heavy.
They were, right?
Heavy Christian. Oh, big time. Yes. Blindside from Sweden.
Yeah. Great band.
Yeah. Ooh. Their lead singer's name's Christian.
Okay.
But yeah, they're it was like, that was like my first heavy show that got me into it. And then like maybe months later, Ludacris became Norma Jean, and Bless the Martyr, Kiss the Child came out, and it was like it for me. I was like, this is the only music I will ever love. And it's the only thing. Which, speaking of which, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Ghost Inside dropped today.
Man, those guys are good.
They're so good.
They're so good.
Their drummer only has one leg.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah.
That was I read up on that accident. That was a pretty intense accident, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't like a birth defect. He actually got in a car wreck or something.
It was their bus collided with a semi truck.
Oh, geez.
The bus driver, I believe, passed. It was the bus driver, one of the engineers or something, and then the drummer got injured. The rest of the band, I don't want to say walked away, but it was pretty heavy accident.
Yep.
That was probably by far, man, being in the bus, 2 a.m., you get in, everyone's hammered. Thank God we had, such a great tour manager, but that's probably one of the scariest things, man. Like, just getting in those buses and just putting your life in someone's hands. It was like, but, we did it, and it had to be done in order.
I'll tell you what, the new Ghost Inside is fantastic. I've listened to it twice today.
I listened to it again at the gym. I've listened to it I listened to the album full twice today. It's catching harder.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So Nate, do you still go to, I mean, I know you perform. What got you kind of into playing the solid music? Because you do a lot of like just cover stuff. Would you consider, is it like some bluegrass, would you say?
Man, so what I mainly play around here in the Panhandle, Florida, like this is also known as like the Redneck Riviera, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So what people like to hear around here is mainly country and Southern rock, you know what I mean? And so it's not that I don't really listen to that stuff. I don't enjoy it, but that's what pays, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to make a living, you know what I mean? Okay. Trying to make some money and entertain people at the same time. And I feel bad because, so I used to, as part-time, and what kind of got me into, playing or learning that style of music, just as a side hustle, I used to bounce at a honky tonk out here called Tootsie's. So there's like a real renowned country honky tonk bar on Broadway Street in Nashville called Tootsie's. I mean, it's been around since, it's like one of the OG like country honk. Like if you into country music, you know what Tootsie's is in Nashville. Yeah. Anyway, the owners there, they opened one there on Panama City Beach, and I just started
I'm serious all the time.
That's right. That's right. Everybody's a critic, man.
Yeah.
You know, the new Roadhouse was fantastic, and
I thought it was a great movie. Conor McGregor played a great role.
Yeah.
I was
now I want to see the original.
It was one of those movies that ended and you're like, you kind of were like, fuck, is there a part 2? You know, I'm not a huge movie guy anymore because I don't hardly have time to sit down and watch a full movie. But, you know, it's nice to be able to like lay with my old lady, and we turned it on and we were both like it was almost like, I'm going to put it on before bed. You know, we don't ever watch TV in bed, but we've got a TV in the room. And I was like, I'll just throw this on. It'll be, you know, entertainment until I fall asleep. Man, by the end of the movie, I was like, they're coming out with another one. You know what I mean? Like I watched the whole thing all the way through, and
and the only reason why I knew there's an original because like I saw like some people talking about, you know, on the social media talking about comparing the two, and I'm like, oh, of course everybody talks about the nothing's ever as good as the original, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And then I kept seeing more and more people talk about it, and I saw it on like Netflix or whatever streaming platform is on. I'm like, oh, this is that new Roadhouse they're talking about. So I just bought it, watched it. It's like, man, this movie's fire. I like it.
It's cool because I'm a UFC fan, and I remember, I forget which UFC it was. They actually brought Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor to do the face-off. It was an actual UFC pay-per-view event, and they actually brought them in for the weigh-ins in front of the actual UFC crowd. Then they had, like, in between one of the main fights, they brought Jake Gyllenhaal up against the dude, and so they reenacted the whole thing in a real UFC like pay-per-view event, which I thought was fucking cool because it just made it that much more, you know, real. So
I don't really follow a lot of UFC, man, but I think even if you don't follow it, you know who Conor McGregor is. Like
absolutely.
You know? He's just such a likable guy, man. I mean, I'm sure his accent helps too, but man, like because I've seen some of his interviews and stuff in the you know the pre-fight, you know where they you know talk a bunch of trash, dude. He is like the best trash talker. I mean,
100%.
He's so good. Like he's
no fucks given.
Yeah. He cracks me up, man. So when he fought he went up a weight class, I believe, and fought Nate Diaz long ago. Yep. And dude, and Nate Diaz, I mean, he'd been punched in the head so times that he just, you know, could barely string a whole sentence. He's just dumb. He can fight though. Yeah. Like I'm calling him dumb. He'd definitely like.
I mean, the guy, you got to think of what he did. I mean, he was the first double champ, and then also, I mean, to go in and fight a guy like Floyd Mayweather. I mean, that's just. Win or lose, you get in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, a legend of that sport. I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. Like, no matter how much you like the guy, hate the dude just doesn't give a fuck. He is an all-around just like when you look at somebody in like the history books or a GOAT, like he's going to be another Bo Jackson or, you know, someone from my era, like a Nolan Ryan that goes down as like the Jordan. So,
and he's got like a really cool story, like him and his wife, like his wife was with him ever since he was just like this broke bum. And has been with him through thick and thin, and they're like
still Cinderella. I love that Cinderella man shit.
Yeah. That's I mean, he's got a really cool story, man. Just makes
I like UFC. Like I used to. I mean, I've played every sport in the book growing up, but to me, once I let go of like baseball and football and started watching like pro sports with all the trades, like UFC just to me kind of clicked because you can't really talk shit and not get punched in the face for it. You know, It's one of those sports that you got to fucking back up what you say. Once you're in that cage, that's all there is. So
one of the cool things to do, man, is you watch all the old school. Like if you go on YouTube, you see the old school, like UFC, the original,
the old Pride.
Yeah, well, there was no rules at all back then. It was you could kick people in the face while they were on the ground, and people were like wearing the gis and stuff. And that
no
was
weight class, no rules.
Yeah, it was like a tournament style. I mean, you do like 3 or 4 fights in a day, and that dude Hoist Gracie, like nobody even heard of what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was. Like, what is this? So they didn't know how to defend against this. So I mean, this dude who's like really unassuming, doesn't look like he works out. He's beating these dudes that are like jacked and twice the size and everything.
I've talked to him a couple times. I'd honestly, can I be honest? I didn't even know that's who he was.
Really?
Yeah, no clue.
Well, you don't follow that, but yeah.
Well, you get to see more of his personality. Like I think he was one of the hosts or one of the coaches on what's the Ultimate Fighter, a TV reality show, whatever. So you got to kind of see like the personal side of him. And he's just kind of a funny dude, man. I like him. He just the type of guy that you want to like follow around and watch because he's just kind of entertaining. He's kind of
every time I met him, man. He's definitely entertaining. He's funny as shit. He's a Southern boy, down Southern, just kind of
Yeah.
fucking, good dude.
Yeah, he trains with Sean Rez.
Yeah.
But you don't like, Sean's pretty disinterested in talking to anybody ever. So
He's just in his zone.
yeah, he can come off kind of arrogant, but can't we all? I guess it is what it is. But so I just don't really ever talk to him because he's with Sean, and I'm like, I don't really want to talk to Sean. Like,
Sure.
I did a movie with Sean, and he had to kick my ass in the film, and
Really?
he's like a professional stuntman, and I'm not at all, and I am not nimble, and I've never like fake fought. So he had to basically we had to go practice and stuff like that, and I had to learn how to take a hit, and I had to learn how to get like thrown. Was okay, but like, it was brutal. That he.
So this is like a low budget film, or like you can find it on Netflix or something, or
Yeah,
YouTube or something.
this was a while back that it came out, but that we filmed, but it's gone through a lot of rigmarole, Nate. It's gone through a lot of rigmarole, bro.
Did you know that Fred Durst put on a movie with John Travolta? Like he wrote the script, he produced it, had John Travolta in it, and this is like back in like 2016. So it's not too long ago.
Gotta be
You
good.
Anything with John Travolta is gonna be good, right? So I mean, they put it out. I think like 1,300 major theaters and everything. Opening day made like $3,000. It just fly. Like, otherwise, I heard this on a podcast. I otherwise wouldn't have known that, man. Fred Durst, created a movie that had to star John Travolta, and like nobody knows about it.
Fred Durst.
I love Fred Durst.
Dude, I do too,
great.
man.
They were great.
Dude, he's just funny, man. Like he's still
his gear that he's rocking on stage, dude. He's wearing the FBI.
Yeah, he's an awesome entertainer, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would tell you right now that they, other than like Tom Morello, Wes Borland is probably one of the most creative guitarists that's ever stepped on stage. And as far as new metal and even heavy music goes, Wes Borland, I think, in my opinion, has it.
Yeah, it's just so intricate, man. What I like about them is I like those new metal bands that had the DJ. They had DJ Lethal, so he's like scratching the records with all the guitar and everything, man. That's my jam, man. I love that stuff.
You like that shit?
Yeah.
You a head PE fan?
You a head PE fan? Am I?
No, I was asking Nate. He likes the DJ shit. Head PE was big in that industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. I'm trying. I can't think of any of the songs off the top of my head, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're great.
Head goes to
Incubus had DJs and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I know Head from something that I can't talk about, but yeah.
Brian Head, talking from Korn.
Yeah, he's good.
Dude, he's turned his life around, man. He's talking about he's came to faith and expresses it and everything.
Yeah,
you can
he's
tell,
he's in another band. He's in another band called Human now.
Yeah, he's kind of.
He's in a few projects right now.
Well, Human is with Clint from DI.
Wow.
I want to know your connection with him. You have to tell me that after hours, man.
Yeah. Well, Clint is actively in recovery. He does like Recover Out Loud events and stuff like that. Clint was a facilitator at the rehab center I went to. Wow. And he does Rock to Recover, which is like a series of shows and things like that.
Crazy story with DI, man. Like it seemed like they played Showcase Theater every other weekend. So I think I saw DI, not even willingly seen DI, more times than any other punk rock band, just because they were almost like the house band at Showcase Theater. And as a teenager, that's where I went every weekend. It didn't matter who was playing, what fucking show was happening. I was just at Showcase Theater, just basically watching shows. But DI they played a lot there. So that's pretty cool, man.
I've jammed with Clint like a few times at the recovery center, like just the two of us like played guitar and just jammed out. It was really cool. And I didn't really like, he walked in, I was like, I knew who he was. I'm like, dude, it's fucking Clint. Like, I was a big DI fan,
Yeah.
I mean, any like West Coast punk rock, like I was like balls deep, right? Like I just loved it. Like ever since I was a kid, you would have seen me, like I wasn't allowed to wear a Bad Religion t-shirt. Wasn't allowed to. But I snuck one and I would like wear it underneath a shirt. You know what I mean? But yeah, like if you would have seen me middle school, I would have been. I had like a hip hop phase, but I like the punk rock phase, like just stuck with it, and it all started with Offspring and Sublime. That's where everything like started when I was a kid. Was like
middle school,
Sublime, man, they ended way too soon, man. Those guys were ahead of their time too, man. Those guys are brilliant, man. I hate that it ended the way it did.
Yeah, I think it was like DI, Agent Orange, Subhumans, Angry Samoans. I mean, those are like the house bands at Showcase Theater. So they're always just cycling. So
I played football. Okay, I was like a football jock my freshman year of high school, and
I was too, punk rock jock.
And and my gym bag, my football bag had like Operation Ivy sticker or patches on it and like everything. Like I
did you ever hear about Assorted Jelly Beans back in the day?
No.
Assorted Jelly Beans were like a pop punk band, but they were under the Vandals label. They were a Riverside band, and they got huge. They were signed to Kung Fu, but they had a song called Punk Rock Jock. And I remember my freshman year, I was in a punk rock band, but I also played fucking varsity football my freshman year. So it was always like this big joke, Punk Rock Jock. It was like the name of me. So
that's funny.
Sorta was a great band. They almost had that MXPX meets the Vandals kind of tone. They were good.
Like, so my high school, is like, if you remember American Pie, like, how like all the parties, like we're always like Blink-182 and like, like Eve 6 and all of that. Like, so that was the high school next to my high school. Same style though, same people. So like we had like after our football games, there were like punk rock shows and stuff like that on the field or like on the baseball field next to it. We'd do like a bonfire and punk rock bands would play. We had a bunch of great punk rock bands. The Swellers came from my high school.
That's crazy.
And the Swellers were on Fueled by Ramen. They were huge. Their main stage Warped Tour for years and years and years. Nick and John Diener were the singer and drummer, the brothers, for the Swellers.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. And then as a matter of fact, my guitar player, my first punk rock band ever called Fail to Figure, and we actually covered Reliant K stuff. He was the bassist of the Swellers.
Makes me feel old, man. Look at us talking about the old glory days.
Yeah, we're talking about walking injuries and old punk rock.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that, man. Like American Pie. Like when I look back at that, that was like it was almost like a movie of my high school years. You know what I mean? That's like that was us. You know what I mean? Except without the whole pie part.
That's awesome.
So Nate, what's speaking of what's in store for you, man? I mean, you're just kicking ass. I know you're starting to finally get some good clientele and stuff, but like, I mean, what are you trying to accomplish this year? What's the big picture?
Man, it's strange, man. I don't really have any expectations of what to happen, man. I want to just keep getting better at what I do. You know what I mean? And enjoy the ride. You know what I mean? And I honestly, man, I mean, I look at it a lot like a fitness endeavor. Like I mentioned before, you can have the most optimal type of diet and nutrition plan and training regimen and supplementation and drug protocol or whatever. But if you feel like you're forcing it and it gets overwhelming and you're not enjoying it, you're not going to adhere to it. You know what I mean? And so I know that you're leaving gains on the table, but if you're not enjoying it, what's the point? You know what I mean? And so I know that there's so many dynamics and elements that are involved in optimizing your coaching and branding yourself and everything. And then CRMs and all that. Just now, I talked about that, but I'm like,
well, man, no, and I backed up. Actually, it's funny that because when you were like, you know what, I'm not trying to like coach that way, and I was like, okay, and then I actually had a newfound appreciation for it, right? Like you do well, you're a great coach, and you have clientele, and you're growing every day. You have like your spikes and stuff like that, and you can kind of tell based on your content when you're going to have your spikes and things like that, right? Yeah. But that's the thing for you. It's like, I want you. I've been pushing you to like full time. Let's fucking go. All sell.
Yeah.
And
as a coach, you should do that. You know what I mean? You're doing your job.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I know that you get so much out of this program, and I know that you enjoy being here because you're always on the calls. You hang out after hours. Like you are my favorite person to talk to in the calls and things like that. And you said earlier, you're like, now you have all these big names and I'm nobody or whatever. And I'm like, dog, that's not even close to true. Like I watch your stuff closer than most situations or most people. And we talk on the sidelines about non-related things a lot. And like you have like, there's days, Nate, that there's like, I don't know what it is, your intuition, God, whatever, that there's days that you say the right thing to me in the right moment. And like where days were like, and I don't show it often, but like where days like where I'm having own limiting beliefs or I'm having a little bit of self-doubt, and we all have that, right?
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, you'll send me something and it's completely unrelated, but it's like right what I needed to hear in that moment, and it sets my day to be great. And so like, you know, there's so much like that there's so much value that comes into our relationship that I just need you out here. That's all. Just get on a plane, train, automobile, whatever.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. And you know, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, of course, like you said, limited beliefs and self-doubt. Like I just went live earlier today on Instagram with Peaches, and we were kind of talking about that. And I'm just like, you know, I think we all kind of experience it sometimes. We kind of in this lull, and you're like, what am I doing? Is this really working out? And is this falling on deaf ears? Am I really helping people? But then you kind of lose your why, you know what I mean? And then I'll get a text message, like the same way you get a text message from me or whatever. I get a random text message from one of my clients that's not even with me anymore. You know, I guess they were just thinking about me and they just reach out and be like, bro, I just want to say thank you for everything you taught me and how, you know, the structure and the discipline and the mindset that I gained from working with you just kind of parallels to all elements of life, man. You've changed my life for the better. And they're just so thankful, you know, and that's why I do it, man. So sometimes we lose sight of why we do it, and then we have clients that text message me that remind me while I'm doing it. You know what I mean? It's encouraging. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. Yeah. It's awesome, man. Well, I love working with you, dude. I'm just so stoked that, you know, you're part of this community, my friend. And I love watching, like, you know, watching you grow, and like your content just gets so good. It's so entertaining, so much fun. If anybody's out there just go follow Tenacious Nate. Like, don't even waste any time. I usually say, how do we find you? I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you want to get some great information, be entertained, you know, watch a badass dude do badass shit, great father, first responder hero, all of it. Go see. And I'm just sitting here, you know, tooting your own horn. But go see Tenacious Nate. Go check him out. Follow him. Shoot him a DM. I'm sure he's going to give you some game and love.
Slide them a DM. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the bell.
Make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you like this podcast, make sure you like. By the way, this is the first one that we have filmed since we hit 100,000 subscribers. Let's fucking go. Guys, I'm stoked. I have got to take my wife to dinner tonight. We're going to do an early dinner because we're getting old. Love you guys. Stay on real quick. All right, guys, that wraps up an episode of the Wolves Only podcast powered by JW Fit. Listen, if you guys like what you heard, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like and comment. Help us get our message out there. If you want to work with our team, go ahead and click the link in the description below. Schedule a call with us. We'd love to get you on. We really appreciate you guys listening. And if you have any other questions, you can reach out to us on all forms of social media. Thank you so much.